Okay, philosophy 1500. How are you doing? This is week 6. I hope that you're happy to be starting this week of our course. As with every week, this is a philosophy course and we are in academia. So we do approach some issues that can be seen as controversial at times when juxtaposed to religious tenets. Now, just to set your mind at ease, I do have my bachelor's is actually in religion, and my first master's degree is in theological studies. Now, I am a theologian, but I'm more, I would say, a philosopher and a theologian. So I'm going to approach this from both standpoints this week in this introduction. Okay, so this introduction, we're going to be talking about the golden rule this week. You know, like it says in the book of Matthew, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now, as the module points out, um, the Buddha is recorded as saying in the Udin hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. And Confucius, he said, do not do to others what you would not like yourself. Okay, so these are from three different religious worldviews, and yet they're extremely similar. But I'm going to throw a little monkey wrench into here, okay? I myself, I tend to be agnostic. That means I don't claim that there's a God. I don't claim that there isn't a God. I claim that I don't know. I am an explorer on this planet, thus my degrees in religion and theology, and I'm always trying to search and find out more. And I like to work with verifiable data and empirical evidence. I grew up in a Christian home. My dad was a pastor. I was a pastor for a number of years. But I lost my ability to stand behind the pulpit when I realized I didn't have a way to validate the claims I was making in an empirical way. Religion requires faith, and I lost my faith. I'm not going to deny that. Now, don't think I'm trying to get you to lose your faith. Not at all. If you have faith in a religious doctrine, I want you to uphold that. I will do everything I can in my power to support and encourage you in your religious journey. I myself, I'm just being very transparent with my journey. Um, so where is this monkey wrench come into play here? Philosophically, Immanuel Kant, as you're going to be reading about this week, he thought that the golden rule was based on subjective tenets, that we could influence and change and control somehow the golden rule based on our subjective viewpoint. Remember, subjective is one that's based on feeling and emotion, and it's also based right here. It's not something that can be verified or validated. It's all on my own perception, my perspective. While my perspective, my perception are valid to me, they may not be valid to somebody else. Immanuel Kant wanted to give a way that we could approach a universal law, such as this morality law, in a way that would make sense regardless of who you are or where you were brought up, how you were brought up. So let me open up this other page here. So he wanted to have something that would be universally consistent. He wanted to avoid some of the fallacies that human beings are so prone to fall into. Humans are prone to cognitive bias. We're prone to logical fallacies. And I believe Immanuel Kant really wanted something that could be a maxim, a hard, true reality, a truth, a verifiable truth, a law that could work no matter where somebody's point of view was, that it would always be applicable. He wanted to remove the subjectivity out of it. A lot of religion is subjective. That's not talking bad about it. It's a personal experience that makes it subjective. Whereas objective is something that we can verify from outside of whoever's experiencing it. So with religion, like my mother, she is a believer. She's been a pastor's wife her entire life, or almost her entire life. Um, she's not going to change her views. She has her views, but they're hers. I cannot validate the veracity, the truthfulness of her claims from an external perspective. Only she can do it for herself from her own perspective, but she can't verify it as a universal truth, just as something she sees as true for her. That's perspective. The way I see things is very similar to Kant, and that is we have to have a way of identifying what morality is in a objective, non-subjective sort of way. So what do? I think about what I would want to have done to me. Yes, it's returning to the golden rule. I don't want people to steal from me, so I don't steal from others. I make it pretty simple, pretty basic, but that works for me. It's not something that I can say is a universal law or a universal constant. I think that what would work is simply identifying how we can be empathetic, not sympathetic, but empathetic with others around us. How can we get a better view of their perspective? We can't do this through numerical data. We can't do this through any other way except the one way I found. Now, there might be other ways out there, but I haven't found any. I'm not saying there aren't, I just haven't found them yet. And that is talking to and actively listening to other people about their perspective. If I sit and I talk to somebody about what their perspective is on morality, what dictates what makes something moral or immoral to them, I don't have to agree with them to validate them. One, I don't have to agree with them to actively listen. But what I can do is I can take that information and I can look at things through their perspective a little bit more. And that allows me to have empathy with their viewpoints. That doesn't mean I agree with them. It's just that I'm finding a way to understand and perceive them myself. And that technique has helped me. My best friend has been a lifelong Christian. I have had friends who were lifelong Muslims, lifelong Hindus, other world religions that are out there. And I never once am in a place where I want to say they're right or they're wrong. If they think that they're right for themselves and they're willing to let other people determine what's right for them as individuals, then I can be very supportive. But I can't understand, or I can't even begin to glimpse what they are perceiving from their perspective unless I listen to them about what really matters and really counts. So think about this week, what really matters, what really counts, how we ourselves are treated or how we treat others, which is more important? For me, it's how other people feel treated by me. So how I treat other people is exceptionally important. I have great control over that. I don't have a lot of control of how other people treat me. So I really can't change any of that. And since philosophically I tend to be a stoic, an existentialist and a stoic, I want to identify what are the areas I can change. I can change how other people feel treated by me. So I make that the emphasis. I guess when I look at it from that point of morality, how other people are being treated by me is more important morally than how I'm being treated by other people. Simply because I can't change how someone else is going to treat me, but I can change how I treat another person. So I place that as the highest point of morality in my view. It could be very wrong. It could be inaccurate. I might find information in the next 10 years that makes me change that viewpoint, and that's okay. I have the right to change my viewpoints, my opinions. I only change them if I can have hard quantitative and qualitative data to back up that my truth was inaccurate. If I identify a truth that I hold near and dear as being inaccurate, then I want to change it. I'm always on the search for truth. That's the one thing I've had consistent about me. And I know truthfully, it matters how I treat other people. And so I would agree with Kant in a lot of areas. I have to find a way that transcends subjectivity. But I really can't do that unless I start listening to the people that are being impacted by me. So this week is, once again, it's not necessarily an easy week from a metaphysical point of view, from a philosophical point of view, but you do have a discussion, which is due, the initial post is due Friday. The replies, remember, 2 replies every time we have a discussion. You have to reply to at least 2 classmates. That's due by Sunday. And you have an assignment that's due by Sunday. That is dealing with utilitarianism and pleasure. So there, we're going to be diving more into what's known as hedonism. Hedonism basically is this. If I find brushing my teeth to be an uncomfortable experience as a hedonist, then I don't have I'm not going to brush my teeth anymore. Now, my teeth are going to rot and fall out, but I'm giving into what I find to be pleasurable, and pleasure is the absence of pain typically. So hedonism is not all about this licentious sort of behavior that some people think it is. It can be, but that's not the totality of it. It's more or less, if I find something uncomfortable, then as a hedonist, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not a hedonist. I'm not. I'm like you already know. I'm a Stoic. I'm an existentialist. Um, which are substantially different than a hedonist. Now, utilitarianism simply comes down to the utility of something. And the trolley problem is great in pointing out things with utilitarianism. You have a train tracks, and there's a train, and there's a split that you got the switch. You can control if the train goes left or right. On one side, you have a group of 7 people. On the other side, you have a group of 1 person, just 1 person, but you know that person. It's a family relative, which is morally correct to allow the 1 person that you have a close relationship with to live and kill the 7 that you don't know, or vice versa. Utilitarian says the greatest good for the greatest number is basically a short way of putting utilitarianism. And so the utility is more people are going to be benefited if I let this group of 7 strangers live. In the process, somebody I know and I love is going to die. And utilitarianists would make that call. Now, utilitarianism, like most philosophical viewpoints, it's not something I'm going to sit here and say is correct or incorrect. What it is, it's how some people view the world around them. It may not be how I view the world, but I want to understand so that when I encounter someone who is a utilitarianist, I can understand why they make the decisions that they do. Are they looking to benefit the many or the few? And in decision making and leadership, which, as you know, my first 2 degrees, religion and theology, my second master's is in executive leadership. I have a master's of philosophy and a PhD in management, specializing in leadership and organizational strategy. So I actually am able to, as an academic and as a researcher, to blend in all these different degrees into dealing with the human side of organizations, looking at decision making. And so I want you thinking about that this week as you do your assignments. Decision making, the golden rule versus Kant, utilitarianism versus pleasure, which is hedonism. How would these impact one's ability to make decisions? Is that a positive thing or is it a negative thing? Anyway, let me know if you have any questions. I thank you very much, and you have a great week 6.